Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as you know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. We're here today with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts, Leslie Matthews. Leslie, can you introduce yourself to us?
Yes. Thank you for having me. First of all, I am a therapist, a divorce expert, a former attorney, and I work with women in relationships and divorce and breakup primarily. It's kind of become my specialty, especially with my divorce background or my lawyer background. So yeah, I have a JD, an MSW. I have a long alphabet soup list of letters, but most importantly, I've gone through my own divorce. And as I did that, I recognized kind of what was missing for me and what I needed and what I had. And I've kind of created a practice that encompasses all of the things that I had that worked well for me to get me through the process, as well as everything I now recognize that was missing that would have made it easier and just made my quality of life better.
So speaking of getting through the divorce process, Leslie, I talk to so many women who the first thing they say to me is, I just don't know how to get started, right? I don't know how to get this going. I don't know. What does this look like? In fact, yesterday I talked to a man who said the same thing. What does the divorce process even look like? And so much of the work that you provide with your extensive and vast background in all of this is just being that guide right through this process. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and the programs that you've really created to help people through?
Absolutely. Well, the name of my main program for women is actually Through. And a book this summer will be coming out also titled Through, which really talks about what I think are the most important things that we need, the supports that we need, and the information and education and preparation that we need. So a lot of people who come to me, they come in with a lot of fear and they want help with things that I can't quite give them yet because it's just impossible. Like they want to know, how much alimony am I going to get? How much child support am I going to get? What's custody going to look like? And the reality is that in the beginning, when you're getting started, you don't know and you're not going to know until much later in the process. And I wish I knew that because that was the question I had for my attorney every time.
Yeah.
So where I start people is an overview of how this is going to go, helping them. Sometimes people come really early or maybe they're even just thinking about it. And so how do we prepare you? And when I say prepare, I mean, I want to prepare your nervous system and your mental health for this process. Because without that, it's just going to be so much more turmoil. You may make the decision and then pull back. So we want to make sure that your nervous system can stay as online as possible. And if it goes offline, you understand what that means and what you need to do. So many people come to me and they've made a decision in a room with 5 people and they don't remember a thing about what happened to them in that room. So I start with the nervous system because I want you to know if you're dissociating. I want you to have a lawyer in place who can help you prepare for that moment and know what you want and what you need. I had a keyword or almost like a signal with my attorney. I knew sitting in that room with my ex-husband talking about money, which is a very sensitive topic for me, was going to put me in freeze. And so I educate people on what our nervous system does, why we sometimes don't remember things, even though we were in the room. and what we can do for ourselves to either get ourselves out of that state quickly or have a system in place to protect. I mean, we're protecting our money by not allowing ourselves to make big, huge decisions in a state where we're incapable of accessing our frontal lobe. So that's the basics. That's
So
where I start
yeah.
people because I feel like that's the most important thing. It's not always what people want to hear, but my clients a year later are like, I'm still using the breath work you gave me. I'm still utilizing all of the tools that you taught me, even the communication tools. I work a lot with mindfulness based stress reduction tools in
Yep.
this capacity as well. So I also do, because of my legal background and the work that I do, I have a really good understanding of like red flags with attorneys. So a lot of the early work is preparing your body, your mind, but then, okay, what are the things to look for in an attorney? What
Mhm.
kind of divorce do you want to have? What kind of spouse do you have? And are they going to be capable of doing something like mediation or collaborative realistically? And what are the risks in doing those things with someone, let's say, who is high conflict? So a lot of the basic initial work looked like that. In the program, we do start with nervous system, but then we also go into attachment style. What's your attachment style? Do you have a trauma bond? Like we need to know that. Because if you do, I want to prepare you for what's going to happen during the process. There are going to be times when all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, you're craving this person that you can't stand, and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to help prepare you for that and what to do in the event that that would happen. And then we talk a lot about grief, losing people. That's a whole week of like losing people and what that feels like. And even if we can't stand our ex spouse's family, even in those situations,
Yeah.
we're going to lose people and we're no longer part of an ecosystem that we were part of. We're going to lose maybe even the restaurants we're used to going to, the vacation spots we're used to go to. So, talking about that, what that looks like and naming it. And um, one of my favorite things to talk to people about when they're ready is pleasure and
Mhm.
how much pleasure and orgasm can help you almost like a drug because it is.
Mhm.
And getting comfortable with that. And there are a few reasons, right? Like not making a big mistake, um, seeking out your ex spouse because that felt comfortable and
Right.
your libido starts coming online, which is really fun during
Yeah.
divorce or after divorce. A lot for a lot of people. It certainly did for me. And talking about how we can take care of ourselves and love ourselves and even pleasure ourselves. And in that process, you can actually learn more about that part of you than you ever knew. And it's a great time to do that. And then, of course, there are lots of benefits and carryover when you start dating.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite parts of the process. But we also talk about a lot about courtroom preparation. I give people meditations to listen to the morning of. So it's a lot of preparation. Like, this is what's coming. And a lot of it is stuff people never think about or foresee. A lot of it is directly related to the things that took me off guard. I wanted my divorce very much. But it was still the worst thing I have ever gone through in my life. And there were things that really took me off guard. So
Yeah.
as I was going through it, I was already doing a lot of the training and I knew this is the kind of work I was going to do. So I was taking lots of notes.
Yeah, I get that. So, what don't you cover? You cover everything. This is like the most thorough through program ever. Um, I love that you cover so much of like this intersection between spirituality and mindfulness and practicality and logistics. So, what does that look like? I know you have both the one-on-one sessions and also group. Can you talk us through like the difference between the two?
Yes, yes. The one on one is going to be catered to more to what the person needs. And that may look like, oh my gosh, I know we're supposed to be talking about grief this week, but I'm going to go into a session talking about parenting plans or custody. Can we use part of this week's session to talk about that or something along those lines?
Mhm.
So it just means that each week's session, because you get 8 weeks of video lessons, meditations, practices, a workbook with journal prompts to help you process everything. We're going to figure out your attachment style, all those things. So if you're one on one, we have the ability to go dive deep into trauma bond if that's something for you. But someone might not have a trauma bond. Some people divorce people it was a really healthy person. There was no emotional abuse. They just didn't love them anymore or it wasn't working anymore. And for those people, we're going to go a different route. Whereas within a group, you have a lot of different things. There are typically a lot of similarities as well.
Mhm.
But in the group, we're going to do a meditation practice. We're going to talk about a specific communication strategy that's more mindful and how that's going to work better for your kids and any of the negotiations that you're doing, your lawyer. So it's a little more structured in the group, but there is wiggle room, of course. What I find is that the groups end up the universe kind of brings people together.
Mhm, mhm.
And so it seems like there's a lot of synchronicities with the people so far who've been in the groups. And there's a lot of collective healing in that space, which I love. So yeah, there's a price difference, obviously. If you're sharing this space with other people, it's more cost effective. But if you want one on one and you want it to be catered, I have a client who needs a lot of help with parenting plans and she wanted to do the program instead of just doing individual coaching with me. So we just carve out time for that.
Mhm.
And because I'm a therapist, I have a coaching background. I also have training in like holistic food and nutrition and things like
Mhm.
that. And then the legal background. Like I really do look at this almost like a
Yeah.
true holistic program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So,
that. Love that.
I have the community as well that'll be coming out in May, and that'll have a library of resources that I've developed over the last few years for people. Um, so it's another resource, and anyone who's in the 8-week through program gets access to the community. So I
Amazing.
love being able to share all of this, and yeah, I I didn't have a coach. I had a therapist. I was in mindfulness-based stress reduction through Brown University, which was incredible, and I had a wonderful lawyer, but I didn't have anyone really preparing me because nobody
Mm.
knew. Your therapist knows
Yep.
whatever you tell them, and I did EMDR, like, I was doing the trauma work. And that was a lot of preparation for post-divorce, like, so I didn't end up in the same kind of relationship, that's all important. Uh, but I didn't have anybody saying, "You're gonna walk into this meeting and your nervous system is gonna shut itself down,
Right. Right.
and your
Right.
frontal lobe's gonna be offline and you're not gonna remember
Yeah.
anything."
Yeah.
Um, and my lawyers can be great,
Yeah.
but they don't understand the impact. My lawyer would sometimes say, "You agreed to that." And I would be like, "I don't remember anything from that meeting. The minute he said this,
Right.
I was gone."
Yeah, and that's the reality for a lot of people. So if women are interested in these groups or the one-on-one, Leslie, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
So my website is theloomlife.com and all the information is there. Then I'm also on Instagram at theloomlife. And yeah, those are probably the best two ways to look at what I'm doing. I have a podcast too, and I talk to
Mhm.
all different types of people. Podcast isn't divorce specific, but we do talk about that a lot. So there are resources there as well.
Awesome. And of course, you can go find Leslie over at
Yes.
freshstartsregistry.com/experts. Before we let you go, Leslie, if somebody is listening to this and they're going through or considering a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with today?
Mm, I would love to tell them that it is one of the worst things that we go through. But when you get to the other side, life does get better. And it may not feel like it every day, but there is such a beautiful, beautiful life waiting for you. And you'll be shocked every day at how good things can be, and the work that you can do on yourself during the divorce and the things that come up. Like if you can build awareness to what's going on in your system and start reacting to that with curiosity, the other side is going to be amazing. There's a lot to learn about yourself in the divorce process. So it's not all for nothing, right? It's not all just suffering.
I love that. I love that. What a way to end. Thank you so much, Leslie. You can get in touch with Leslie over at Fresh Starts or message us or get in touch with her on her website. We appreciate you and we're so happy you're part of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.